Ann Tyler received a Pulitzer Prize in Literature for her 1989 novel, Breathing Lessons. Tyler's book is the story of a single day in the life of Maggie and Ira Moran. It is about their marriage, their children, and the deep grooves of disappointment and failure which characterize all of their conversation. It's about their need for one another despite their inability to offer one another just enough grace to keep even a simple conversation from becoming an argument. Maggie and Ira seem to hold their breath when they're together, each afraid of what they or the other might either say or do to cause the old resentments to rise up again like bile in their mouths. As the book begins, our couple is on its way to attend a funeral a few hours north of their hometown of Baltimore. There's nothing like a funeral to make us conscious of the passing of time and the frailty of life. In this case, the funeral is for the husband of a high school classmate who is Maggie's peer and who is a few years behind Ira. And so the funeral also involves aspects of a class reunion, which means revisiting of the past. On the way to the funeral, Maggie casually notes that they will be passing near Fiona's house. Fiona is the ex-wife of their high school dropout son, Jesse, and the mother of their granddaughter, Leroy, who they have not seen in years. Maggie still holds out hope for reconciliation between Jesse and Fiona. Jesse and Fiona consider this meddling. Ira suspects it has been the real reason Maggie insisted on attending the funeral in the first place. So the stage is set for a liturgy of pain as Maggie and Ira play out the predictable, tiresome, and inevitable scripts of countless conversations leading nowhere. But for the attentive reader, each chapter of present plot and reminiscence of the past is characterized by a different kind of breathing. Maggie recalls her wedding night as she slowly unbuttoned the top of her negligee. Quote, he had looked directly into her eyes, and it seemed he wasn't even breathing. She had assumed that would go on forever. Remembering how she and Ira sang a duet at the wedding of the deceased, she recalls, quote, that breathless flutter high in her chest that foretold stage fright. She had taken a deep, trembly breath, and then Ira had unobtrusively set a hand on the small of her back. That had steadied her. Back in the present, Maggie takes a deep breath before she begins to sing for the funeral. As readers of the novel, we come to understand and have sympathy for Maggie and Ira as we become conscious of their breathing, just as the couple come to appreciate each other anew as they remember these moments of grace in their relationship. By the end of the novel, little has changed in the circumstances of their lives. Fiona and Jesse are still estranged. Maggie and Ira are the same characters we met in the opening chapter. There's also space to breathe, a modicum of grace and understanding, an attention and even love for one another that neither we nor they could see on page 1. By learning to breathe, literally to experience again the full range of life, its hopes and struggles, disappointments, envies, comforts, there is sympathy and grace again in their relationship. Where before they were locked rooms of fear, bitterness, and unhelpful patterns of behavior, they discover grace. Ira and Maggie Moran come to realize that their predictable, common marriage is really quite extraordinary. The title of the novel appears on page 188. Fiona, the daughter-in-law, is pregnant with Leroy and attending her first Lamaze class with Maggie. Quote, breathing lessons, really, she says, as she drops to the floor with a thud. Don't they reckon I must know how to breathe by now?